All right, guys, we found this crazy, insane exploit that's going to help you max your events with absolutely zero effort. Scotty, why don't you tell the people about this insane exploit?
It's pretty crazy. Spend 160 million gold. Get to it.
All right, in the first event we're going to talk about is Merry Groupmas, how the Guardians stole Groupmas. Basically a campaign event where you have to use your Guardians team. Who did you sub out, Scotty? And how did you find the event?
Well, I definitely subbed out Mantis. I didn't feel like she would add very much. And it went fine. There was just, those Kree minions suddenly have powers that they've never had before.
Yeah.
But it was fine.
Yeah, I think the key was, and I think I learned on the same node you did, where if there's a lot of enemies in that node, hold off on using your Drax taunt until you're at the last wave, because that last wave has like 10 people on it. But it's mostly just important to get the first time rewards on all of them. How did you like the teal gear that came out of it?
Great. It was a very nice surprise for Christmas.
Cool. Yeah, I love these kind of events. I hope they run this kind of stuff more, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, and next we have Coordinated Assault. We're basically getting this one like every week, which is pretty cool. It is a good source of T4 ions. Anything different on the math on this, Scotty? And how important do you think this event is?
It's still the same math. So spending 840 a day, your alliance should be hitting about 20,000 a day. And I think it's very important. Like the rewards are good. The ISO 4 very important. So if you're in an alliance that isn't completing this regularly, you may want to either push them to do it or find a new alliance.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's very important for the Apocalypse event. Unlock rather, and also just for raids. When you start pushing 3.5, it's really nice to have that extra ISO boost. Like we're doing that now. Do you find your ISO 4 characters are holding up a little bit better than your ISO 3 characters?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely.
Cool. All right, now let's move on to something juicy. Never mind, I lied. We're talking about the Rumble instead. But this Rumble's a little bit different. It's a little bit cooler than the other Rumbles. What's new about this one, Scotty?
It is different because there's no specific trait involved. So instead of like Bionic, Avenger, Skill Military, it is literally just any characters, whether they're 7 stars that gets you a certain amount of points, 5 stars, 3 stars. So it's pretty easy to complete if the majority of your roster is already 7 stars. You're looking at probably like a rotation and a half to finish it. If you're more mid-game, maybe you only have 20 characters, at 7 stars, maybe, 2.5 blitz rotations. And if you're earlier, maybe only have 10 characters at 7 yellow. Then you're looking at probably doing, at least probably 8 rotations in total. But I still think it's pretty simple to do for most people.
Sounds good. Yeah, and I hope, Scopely, if anyone from you guys is watching this right now, we like this kind of stuff. Now, I understand why you do put some traits on the Rumble, but maybe add a couple. Not just skill military. Do like skill military plus, I don't know, mercenary. Just add a couple extra people to the tag to help out the mid-game and early game players, just to get it done a little bit easier. I mean, me and you don't care if they get it done earlier. Let everyone finish those monthly events, right?
Yep.
All right, and now we start getting into the juicy stuff. We have the Nemesis campaign event coming around. How do you feel about Nemesis? What's he like in the raid for you? How important do you think it is that people find this event, both for the character and how it feeds into the other events?
Nemesis is a good character, but I don't think him at high stars is as important for raids, at least. I mean, yet to see like how important it will be for other game modes. But like so far with him, only at like 4 yellow, red, like he is killing it in Doom 3.5. I am going to touch on this a little bit later, but basically in the milestone event that's going to be based on opening his orbs, it's really not that important to really spend a lot of cores. Like the difference between 200 and 600 isn't anything to write home about. So I don't think this is one to go particularly crazy in, especially because we have other ways to get him, such as like the presents.
Yeah, that's actually what I'm planning on doing. I'm planning on just doing the 450 core resets, getting as much as I can, but I'm going to use all my presents on him at the end. It's going to be 100 shards right there. And I can speak from experience. I have a 5 red, 5 yellow Nemesis right now with a 3 yellow star Archangel. I can sim the first 2 nodes on the mutant section, and that's with a very, very small Archangel. Like he's not even gear tier 16. I think he's gear tier 14 because they don't have the chromium yet, and he's 3 yellow star. him after the Scourge will be enough to carry a smaller Nemesis. So yes, Nemesis is a great character, and he's going to be great in a lot of modes on the team. Like they're going to be good in Crucible, they're going to be good in Tower and War and all kinds of stuff like that. But you don't need to kill your cores for Nemesis if you only value Raid. Like if you're not a hardcore War player or a hardcore Crucible player, you can kind of budget your resources a little bit better. But being that it is a campaign event, I figure we should touch slightly on the teams that's going to be used. This is the chosen tag. This is the proper tag for his event, correct?
Yep.
Cool. So right off the bat, I'm looking at it. I'm seeing a lot of characters that I like. Like I super like the Dad Bros. I like the Weapon X team. So I'm pretty much just going to put my favorite guys in there that hit super fast and go. Are there any optimal characters that you see here?
No, I mean, obviously Omega Red, Lady Deathstrike, those are going to be characters that people have built up. Dad Bros, maybe even more, especially now for Scourge. If you have Nemesis and Dark Beast, leveled up and stuff, they might be decent in this as well. But this hasn't notoriously been very difficult per se, but I think there's a lot of characters that people will at least have that they can use.
Yeah, true. Even Kingpin now is very like plug and play. We're using him on the first node in the raid. Crucible, he becomes a nightmare with that ad that spawns with taunt. So there's actually some good value in some of these characters, just not the thing. Don't build up. Don't build up your thing, guys. And now we get to the main event, guys, the Progeny of Apocalypse, which has two, I would call them feeder events. They do like these tri events. So we're going to speak on them one at a time. Let's talk with the new Reign web store milestone. This one's not crazy, right? This one's pretty simple.
No, it's just spending 700 campaign energy a day, which, if you're already spending 600 a day for keys, hopefully, for your alliance, that's only an extra 100 that you'd be spending. You're already getting, from free-to-play energy and your free refreshes, 528. You should be getting at least 100 from your daily web store. So really you're looking at maybe doing another 50 core refresh to hit that. So I think most players should be able to hit this, and I think it's very important because it does give you 1,000,000 points, which is basically the equivalent of 1,000,000 gold. So 7 million gold over 7 days is the difference.
Perfect. And so I guess we should touch on it a little bit here. We have 3 energy spending-ish events, right? We have the Coordinated Assault, we have this one, and then we have the Nemesis campaign where you're going to be wanting to spend a couple cores. So like an average player, if you need to max out Coordinated Assault, let's do worst case scenario. You got to spend 200 cores on Coordinated Assault. You got to spend 200 cores in the Nemesis campaign and maybe 50 cores on this to hit your 700 for the day. You're budgeting around 450 cores for at least the duration of those events. So maybe start stockpiling now before Coordinated Assault starts and before the new Reign web starts. Fair enough?
And I mean, that's what people should be doing between Coordinated Assaults, is basically stockpiling their ISO energy refills that you're getting every day. So you're getting those. And so I try to be as close to 500 on those as I can. And we are lucky this month that they are giving us the 2 strike passes. So you're also going to get ISO energy from those. So that's going to happen once this event starts. So you don't even need to save them. You're automatically going to get those during it. So if you're only doing the free pass, that's going to give you 240 ISO energy, which is still a lot. And you're going to get twice as much if you're doing the premium pass. So like just taking advantage of those types of things as well. But this should be, doable for people for sure.
Yeah. So a little bit of a core pinch, but nothing like the spending core events we had a couple weeks ago.
Exactly.
Right on. Okay, so let's move on to the next event, the Mutant Evolution, which is a blitz milestone that throws up red flags for the community. Tell me this isn't too difficult, please. It is Christmas time. I want to eat pastries.
I don't think it'll be difficult for you, because there are 21 chosen characters. The majority of people at our level are going to have all of these characters probably at gear tier 15, or most of them, including Nemesis and Dark Beast. So, with that in mind, like, you really only have to do 3 rotations a day with your chosen characters to complete it. And this is an event that is 2 days, but it repeats, basically 3 times, so over 6 days. But you'll be doing those basically 3 rotations a day. If you have less characters, and maybe you only have them at gear tier 13, still very doable. You may have to do 6 rotations a day, but you don't have to do your whole roster. You can just do these characters and you're done. Now, if you don't have any of them at gear tier 13, you're gonna have to do actual blitz rotations. Probably at least 5 full rotations a day. But still, compared to a lot of the blitz events we've had, this is still very completable for the whole player base, I think.
Okay, and how much does this feed into the next milestone we're going to talk about?
So this gives about 10 million points, but gives that 3 times. So 30 million points. So 30 million gold worth of points.
Okay, that's a big chunk. So hopefully you guys have your lots of gear tier 15 chosen characters. I did see some old meta characters in there, so maybe you haven't. But if you did, get those armory offers where we got like 20 million or something like that for the 14s and 15s. It might not be a bad time to crack them open and put it on the characters if you already have those characters leveled. Or if you've been sleeping on some characters like Weapon X, it'd be a good time to level them up. I promise you will enjoy using your Weapon X in War and in Crucible and everywhere else. Like if we get more Scourge events, there's villain tags, Weapon X always subs in a big way. All right, so talking about those 2 feeder events leads us into the big event, the Progeny of Apocalypse. How completable is this free to play?
Not completable.
Perfect. All right, lead us to it.
So you need 160 million points. So that is basically, think of it like 160 million gold.
Oh,
but
yeah.
if you have maxed the other 2 milestones that we talked about, that automatically is going to give you about 37 million points for this. So still obviously nowhere close to finishing it. So the rest of the points comes from opening Nemesis orbs and spending gold. Now, this is where I mentioned earlier, the difference between spending 200 cores a day and 600 cores a day is not much. If you spend 600 a day, that is going to get you to milestone 34. So a total of 77 million points. Because milestone 34 is 70 million. If you only spend 200 a day, and this is not factoring in gold spending at all, that is going to get you to milestone 33, which is the most important because that contains the Ice Shield, which is the monthly event item that you need to get to.
Perfect. And is there any snowballs after the Ice Shield?
No.
Perfect. So that is like the mark where that's like your do or die. You need to get there to get your presents so you can buy your character shards, whatever you're buying from that present store. How difficult is it to get there with how much gold do you need to spend, I guess, if you're completing the events?
So to get to the monthly event, you don't actually have to spend any gold. You just have to spend 200 cores a day on the Nemesis campaign.
Okay.
If you want to spend less cores, I mean, if you don't want to do the 50 core refreshes at all, which I feel like you should at least be doing those for the Nemesis shards of things.
Yeah.
But if you spend, naturally, say like 10 million over those 7 days, which during Scourge, when people are leveling up their teams, that isn't crazy, you could hit milestone 34 and get, that extra augmented gear, which isn't that much, but it will at least get you there. But completing the event, you're going to have to spend at least 90 million gold, which obviously is not doable for most people.
Well, I mean, you could level up all your minion teams and it'd be good for the Scourge. You could level up all your mutants and be good.
I don't think the rewards are worth it.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, so that's all we got for you on the event side, guys. All right, guys, so that is it for the events of this week. Now, I'd be lying if I promised we're going to do the events for next week, because that is heavy into the Christmas time. I do have a Franco-Ontarian wife, so we are really booked up. So you may actually be missing me for like a full week next week. So what I want to do is give Scotty the chance to say whatever he wants to say to you guys for the Christmas holidays.
Merry Christmas. That's it.
That's profound. All right, guys, we'll see you later.